All right. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. We're here today for another session of Girl Talk. This is a bi-weekly series that we have every other week with the youth group sisters. You guys have met Zarina and Muntaha before, and we have a couple of new faces today. Again, this is just, we go live for this where we talk about things that girls want to talk about, and then we have a private girl-to-girl chat afterwards in a safe and judge-free zone. Today, we're going to be talking about girl power and maintaining modesty in sports and extracurriculars. We have our youth group female leads today who are like the ultimate girl bosses. So we have Minahal, Zarina, Muntaha, Fatima, and Hadia with us today. And they're going to share some of their personal experiences with us. So, welcome, girls. How are you guys doing? Good.
Good, Alhamdulillah.
We're doing good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go. I'm gonna introduce each of the girls individually and they're all gonna share their, their areas of interest and expertise. And just to kind of segue into the discussion, after the live stream, we're gonna begin, as I mentioned before, we're gonna go into the Zoom and have a private girl-to-girl talk. So we'll put the link for that on the chat. And you'll also be able to see that on the screen soon. And then you can always send us any anonymous questions on Telenym. And that's at IAA Youth Muslim Girl. So I'll show that on the screen really quickly right now. All right. Okay. So we know like the media is always talking about female oppression in Islam, but again, they could not be more wrong. Just the story of Khadija radiallahu anha should be enough to show that this is definitely not the case. She was the breadwinner of her family. She was beautiful. She was strong and an independent woman. She was driven by success and shattered the glass ceilings of her time. And in our times, there's this other double standard where we see a woman who is rich and beautiful and successful, and her motives and her means are always questioned. So we learn from Khadija radiallahu anha's life the definition of an independent woman, and she maintained her affairs at home and outside while maintaining the ideals of an honorable and respectable woman in Islam. And this is even before Islam came to be. She was always very respected, in her community and during those times. So again, she was the queen of multitasking and really an ideal role model for all of us. And I know all of the girls here today are inspired by her strength and independence. And not just Khadija radiallahu anha, there's so many others like Nusayba bin Ka'b. We should really all try to learn about their lives and emulate the lessons from their lives within our lives. So hope you guys will get inspired by the stories, some of the personal experience the girls have to share today, and also take some time to learn about the history of strong Muslim women. So with that being said, each of the girls are going to take a few minutes to kind of share their experiences. We're going to start with Manahil, who is our secretary and for the youth group and a sophomore at Allen High School, secretary and general manager. And she is the first year as a competing member of DECA, Allen High School MSA member. And she wants to go into marketing and public relations for some sort, I'm just philanthropic foundation or company. So Manahal, please tell us more.
Okay, so basically today I'll be talking about skateboarding and also pals. So yeah. Okay. So skating is actually really trendy recently. I don't know if anyone's noticed that. You probably have. So I also decided to hop onto that trend and start to try and skate myself. We already had a skateboard. And basically I'm a hijabi, as you can see. And one of the things before I started skateboarding, I was like, I wonder like how I'll be able to skateboard. Like, will it like uphold all my like modesty? Like, will I be able to do it? And honestly, it really is easy to do modestly. Like, there's no like body movements that would like put you in an unmodest situation. And there's like no criteria of how to dress, honestly. So you could be wearing jeans, t-shirt, dresses, like you can literally skate in anything as long as you're wearing sneakers. So it's really fun, actually. I'm not that good at it, but I think it's super fun. You can do it literally anywhere. I know that for like a lot of extracurriculars or sports or anything, a lot of like modest concerns are like, oh, I'm going to be doing it in front of people. I don't know if I want to do that. Well, you can literally skate in your driveway and in your neighborhood, which is what I do because I get embarrassed because I'm not that good, but also for modesty purposes. I really don't think that you should ever let anyone tell you that you can't do something because like it doesn't look good. Because skateboarding, before it like got trendy recently and more people started to do it, it kind of had like a little bit of bad rep. Like I don't know, every single sport has stereotypes and stuff, but I think that you can participate in most extracurriculars modestly and everything if you're responsible enough to know like where your line is and whether or not like that extracurricular will be positive or negative or lead you somewhere like that. So in the end, that really just plays into knowing yourself and knowing your religion, because if you don't recognize those lines for yourself, good things can turn into bad things. So I really recommend skateboarding if you're trying to get into a sport. Not like it's not a sport, but it's just like a hobby. If you're trying to find something new and fun and fresh to do, then I totally recommend that. Pals. I will be talking about pals next.
Scream louder in my ear.
Oh, sorry. This is my sister. She's very interesting. Anyways, so PALS is a peer leadership application class at Allen High School. We're just like kind of the leaders, not like the leaders of the school, but it's a leadership group. A lot of volunteering, a lot of involvement with like the school and all of the administrators and all the students. We organize a lot of events like food drives, toy drives, all that kind of stuff. It's super fun. We also go to elementary schools and we like mentor little kids. It's so fun. It's an application class, and I highly recommend anyone going into high school, or it starts in 8th grade, that you apply to PALS if it's available at your school, because it's a good way to put yourself out there, and nothing in PALS will require you in any way to lose any sort of modesty or do anything against your values. If anything, it will enrich like your values and your good habits, because there's so much social work to do. And it's very beneficial even if you're an introverted person, because there's like this preconceived notion that everyone that goes into PALS has to be loud or extra, but like just be yourself and be passionate about what you're doing. So if you want to experience leadership and work with kids, it's a really good way. And I completely also recommend being in PALS. I've been in it for like 2 years now. I don't really remember, but it's super fun and it has definitely helped me a lot. One thing I want to talk about with PALS is that last year at PALS camp, this was like one thing where like my hijab actually came into play, and I was like, whoa. I was at PALS camp, which is like an event that all of the PALS from the districts participate in, and I was like the only hijabi in like all of those kids. Like, so for all the kids in the district PALS, I was the only hijabi there, and it was like I was kind of shook. I was like, oh my God, I'm the only hijabi. And at first I was like, that's kind of weird. Like, it's kind of weird that like no hijabis like participate in this stuff, because it's so fun. But it like also made me feel such like a good sense of pride that like I was representing hijabis in this leadership role. And yeah, I just think being in leadership is really fun, and always representing your religion and your culture is honestly a really good experience and something I think everyone should try and do.
Good job.
Thank you.
Sister Salvy, you're on mute.
Ooh, thank you. Okay, to repeat what I was saying thank you, Manahal, for sharing. Another thing I don't think Manahal mentioned, she has a very good sense of humor, mashallah, and she makes all of us giggle all the time. So if you ever need for a good laugh, talk to Manahal. And Manahal, this is some just pictures of her at, I think, the MSA, at Allen High, and her volunteering at IAA. Anything else you'd like to add, Manahal, before we move on to, I think Zarina is next.
If you're thinking about skateboarding, do it. If you're thinking about joining leadership, do it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Manahal. Thank you for being with us today. All right, so Zarina is our sister's vice president. You guys have seen her, spoken with her before. Mashallah, super, super inspiring young lady. She's also the vice president of Allen High School MSA for the past 2 years. She's a junior in high school in the IB program. She's a flute player in the AHS Wind Ensemble and part of the Angel League softball program and future in STEM. All right, Zarina, welcome and take us through your experiences.
Okay, so hello everyone. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about are 2 extracurriculars that I have participated in and am participating in right now. So I did basketball from 1st till 8th grade. So I played on like my middle school team, and then I just played in elementary school. And I've been in band from 6th grade until right now. I'm still in band. So I wanted to talk about kind of like being the odd one out and like the feeling of that when you have to make like modifications to uniforms or actions or locations where you work out, like the weight room or the band marching dress. Like there's just a lot of things. So feeling like uncomfortable when you're making a slight modification to your clothing or something. In retrospect, when I look back to how I felt like weird wearing something different than other people, like it literally did not matter at all. And obviously it's like hindsight 2020 or whatever, but like it just really doesn't matter. Like what you wear is like to other people, like literally nobody cares unless you're wearing something like offensive. Like I don't know. It's like really just not a big deal. And then another thing is like your teachers and coaches, like for me, 10 out of 10 times, all my experiences, like they're okay with slight modifications, like wearing like pants or leggings under shorts, or like wearing sweats instead of shorts, or like wearing a shirt under a jersey, like whatever. Every single time they're okay with it because they can't not be okay with it. Like that's just like not okay. So I have some like I guess like tips for like overcoming the feeling of being the odd one out, because I feel like that was like the most important thing for me, and it's how I kind of like shifted my view on like being different like based on like how I dressed in my extracurriculars. So the biggest things for me were not letting it mess with my confidence, not letting it mess with my mood or like affecting my performance, because I remember in the beginning when I would play basketball, I just like felt so weird if I wasn't wearing what everyone else was wearing, because everyone would wear like a tank top and I like didn't, and I just felt so awkward. But once I got over that, it was like 0 to 100, honestly. Another thing for me was keeping a close friend group. Obviously, you always want a close friend group. I could talk to them about it and they understood. And then I think most importantly, honestly, is knowing what you're doing it for. Like your religion, your modesty. It's the most important step to feeling comfortable with anything that you're doing, but especially like the way you dress and stuff in your extracurriculars. So yeah, that's my extracurricular stuff. Now I'm gonna kind of talk about leadership and getting involved. Like Sister Salvy said, so I'm the vice president for the sisters in the youth group and for MSA. And I honestly wish I got involved more. When I look back, I mean, I'm not done with high school, but like in the past 2 years and in middle school, I feel like I could have done a lot more. But honestly, as everyone knows, the biggest thing here is confidence. If you came to our self-love girl talk, I think 2 weeks ago or a couple weeks back, you already know this, but it's honestly the biggest thing, and it's cheesy, and everyone always tells you it, but you'll never know until you try, and there's really not that much harm in rejection, and that's something that I had to learn myself. Like, failure used to be so painful for me. Like, I would do anything to avoid it, which made me kind of never grow. I just stayed the same because I was so scared to fail or be rejected. But like getting in the experience with rejection or like not having things go as planned is like, it's a really good experience, because in the future, like not everything is going to be perfect or sunshine and rainbows. So like failure is a part of life, basically. And there's this quote, I think it was by John Maxwell, and he said that the difference between the average and the achieving person is their response and perception to failure, because failure is just like a huge part of life, and it has this like really bad like stigma around it, and like a lot of people are like really scared of it. I mean, I'm still scared of failure because like don't want to fail, but like it's kind of something I've come to terms with. I feel like, I mean, overall, I would just say put yourself out there in every opportunity that you're given, and because like opportunities don't really just present themselves to you. You kind of have to push your way into them, and you really have to show that you're right for them. Because I mean, that's why it's a leadership position. And kind of to wrap it up, so through all of my clubs and extracurriculars and stuff that I've been in, I've seen and like observed that the most confident people and the people who are the least scared of failure are always the most successful. They're always at the top. They're in the highest leadership positions, and they're always like achieving the most, honestly. And a way I kind of put this into perspective is that like if you took 25 opportunities to, let's say, try out for a leadership position and you fail 10 times, like 10 is a really big number to some people, and failing 10 times seems really scary. But if you look at failure in a different way, you just grew and learned the wrong way to do something 10 times. And failure isn't really failure because you grow so much and you learn so much from that. And not only did you fail 10 times, but you also were successful 15 other times. So basically, more of the stories, take all the opportunities you can, because I know myself, if I could go back, I would definitely have been more out there and like just took advantage of all the opportunities that I had. But yeah, that's kind of my thing.
Thank you, Zarina. That was really, I honestly, like, I want to hire Zarina as like my life coach because she like says, I just like take it all in, and honestly just always get inspired. Thank you so much, Zarina, for sharing. So next up is Muntaha, who is our president of our youth group and the MSA at Allen High School. She's an IB senior in high school. She has she's calling it a super small business owner, but I don't want to mispronounce her shop name. So I'm going to actually, she told me even how to pronounce it, but I'm at shop Adam Kara on Etsy. And she's in DECA, which is a competitive business club, head of competition prep, and member for 3 years with experience in debate and mentorship. And she is thinking about a future in political science. Very nice. I did not know that about you. All right, Muntaha, go ahead.
Okay, well, yeah, so you pronounced the shop name. It was pretty correct. I pronounced the shop Anamkara, but the word is Gaelic, so I don't really care how people pronounce it, as long as people know the name, you know? So, anyway, I've been a part of, like, a lot of professional clubs throughout high school, and like I'm a senior now, so it's kind of like my last year for all of these things. So I've garnered a lot of experience because I've kind of like Decca Manahal's in it now, and this is her first time competing. But this year, my last year, unfortunately, this was my third time competing. And at competition, we have to dress in like business attire. And it was always so confusing for me because I was like, well, how am I going to like dress modestly and in business attire? And it's not like business attire is like scandalous. Like you can dress professionally and like not show skin. But for me, I always saw like all the other girls at like competition, or most of them, would wear like skirts, or they would wear like the dresses that like business women wear that are like super fitted, and then they would like put a blazer on top of it. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna wear that because that kind of like it doesn't fit my definition of modesty. And I was like, well, how am I gonna still look cool and look like I can end all of these people while like being modest, you know? So, I mean, my tip for dressing professionally in like DECA, if you're in DECA, or in like debate, because I was in debate for a couple of years too, and I had the same problem, and I was like, okay. But I recommend oversized blazers, and then like you can get fitted pants or like straight leg dress pants, and they look so cute. And I've seen some girls wear, no hate to them, super tight dress pants, like really, really tight dress pants, and it just doesn't give the same effect. So straight leg pants with oversized blazers, that's really a vibe, and you will look really great. You will look beautiful. Yeah, so that's my fashion side. of being in like professional competitive clubs and stuff like that. But I'm like, the biggest tip I would give is just to wear stuff that like makes you feel confident while still being modest, because if you're wearing something, or you got forced into wearing like a big ugly dress or like a really long skirt and like something that you don't like, and you go to competition, then that affects your mood, and it affects how well you're going to do, and it affects like how you're going to perform. So just like wear something that makes you feel like a winner, especially like, okay, you don't have to win if you're going to a competition, but if you want to win, wear something that makes you feel like a winner. That's my spiel on dressing modestly in debate clubs and stuff. Because even, I don't know if I participated in any before I wore hijab, but when I lived in New York, when I was in middle school, I went to a model UN competition, and I was the only girl wearing hijab, and I was like, wow, this is crazy, which is, I don't know. But yeah, so sometimes you'll be the only person in a hijab, and sometimes you'll be the only person wearing like slightly baggy clothes. But if you just focus on your goal and your accomplishments and like what you want and how much you want to win or how much you want to accomplish, then what you're wearing shouldn't matter. And it's even cooler because like if everyone just sees you, they're like, oh, like she's quiet, like she's, like she looks like that, she's not gonna win. Like what is she gonna do? Just show them up. Just be confident in what you have to say. Don't focus on what you look like if you're not confident, and just go in there and do your thing, because it's really more about what you have to say than like how you look, in my opinion. So yeah, just believe in yourself, as cringy as that sounds. Just like walk up to the judge, shake their hand, and then like just go. Don't focus on anything else. Don't focus on what everyone else is wearing. Don't focus on like what everyone else is about to say. Just focus on yourself, focus on what you're going to do, and I promise you, like, that will work. People say fake it till you make it, but if you like actually just believe that you're confident, like don't fake it. Just tell yourself that you know what you're doing and then go in. My first DECA competition, I procrastinated. I hope my DECA advisor's never going to watch this, but I procrastinated the entire presentation board like the night before the like competition. So I finished it, didn't have like a chance to like practice the actual presentation part. But then I was like, you know what? I got this. I know what I can do. Don't do this. This is not like the best advice, but I just like told myself that I could do it without practicing. And then I did, and I did it without practicing, and I won. So like, just, it's okay, like you got it. Just believe in yourself. Yeah. Okay. And then I can talk about my small business. You're going to hear a lot more business tips from Fatima, because she's like, you guys need to go follow her on Instagram. It's crazy. I'm obsessed.
Business queen.
But yeah. So I've always had a passion for business, hence being in DECA, which is a business club. But I also really just like to make things. So I started a little business. We have some scrunchies, masks. I started making little wire rings because I saw them on TikTok and I thought they were trendy. So, but I guess just like the advice that I have for like starting a business, if you wanted to, or if you wanted to go into entrepreneurship, is just to like don't let other people kind of like intimidate you. Because I remember when I first started on my small business and I got on like small business Instagram or small business TikTok, these people have like 15K followers, 30K followers selling the exact same thing that you're selling. And you're kind of like, what am I supposed to do now? Because it looks like they're more successful. But then I realized slowly that it's more about engagement than it is about followers. And like, if I'm looking at someone's page that has like 15K followers on their small business, but I don't like the person running it, I'm like getting weird vibes from them. I'm like, kind of like, some people are really like show offy, but in like a subtle way. So I was getting a lot of those vibes from people. And I was like, well, this is not making me want to buy their products, like regardless of however many followers you have on your small business. So what I've just learned from like starting my own small business is that it's more important to increase engagement than it is to increase the number of followers. And like those two go hand in hand. As soon as you like start engaging more with the people that are already supporting you, they're going to like talk about you to other people, and then other people will find out your business and stuff like that. So the business right now is on Etsy. Before we were just kind of like local and had like friends and family buying stuff. So yeah, just don't listen to other people. Don't let other people intimidate you.
do your own thing, because like you, like deep down, everyone knows what they can accomplish, and the only thing holding you back, honestly, is yourself. So that's my advice. Just don't let yourself get in your own way. Vibes.
Thank you, Muntaha. That was very sound advice. And Muntaha, again, she has been like honestly like a blessing in disguise, especially for me personally. Helping us. She's helped us out so much at IAA with the youth group, just reviving everything with the support of everyone else as well. But she honestly has been spearheading a lot of the efforts. So now we have Fatima, who is our social media coordinator for the youth group. She's a first-year college student getting a degree in computer science, founder of 2 small businesses called Peace Clothing Company and The Simple Company, as well as being a user interface designer for Not Dave. All right, Fatima. I hope I pronounced everything correctly. Now it's you.
You did.
All right, awesome.
So everyone, today I'm gonna talk to you guys more about the business, like how Muntaha said. So I kind of always wanted to start a business, and I kind of sat on the business idea for Peace Clothing Co. for about 2-ish years. And I always thought that they were kind of like Arab-inspired streetwear, but there was never, or like Muslim-inspired streetwear, but there was never like Desi or Pakistani or Indian or Bangladeshi-inspired streetwear. So I kind of like decided to make this. I had multiple obstacles, including getting scammed by like many companies and influencers, orders being messed up, and especially comparing myself to others. Like how Muntaha said, when like people have like thousands of followers and everything, you're like, oh, am I doing this right and everything? But then you kind of start understanding that it is more about engagements, and you may still be getting more engagement than them, even though they have more followers. There were many times I did want to quit because I was doubting myself, but I started making dua for this, and sometime in June, July, I was like, maybe I should start making these myself. So I started with the first 3 designs, which is in the first picture, the love design, the brave design, and the dream design. And in about 6 months, I went from those 3 designs to having almost 20 of my own designs on my website. And to this day, I still make every order by hand because I feel happy making something I know someone will go out and wear. I didn't want to become other companies who just started doing it for the money. And the motto I kept for this company was to spread what Islam is to other people, which is peace. And 2020 was a bearer of bad news, and I always wanted to help out in any way I possibly could, but it was impossible due to the condition we were all in. So after the first few months and kind of trying to figure out what I could do, I created a campaign collection where any of the profit made from those products specifically will go to help people in need all around the world, ranging from Black Lives Matter and Muslim mental health all the way to China Muslim concentration camps and the floods in South Asia. Once I was comfortable enough with peace and how it was growing, alhamdulillah, I started my second business, The Simple Company, last month. And inshallah, I hope I learned enough from the ups and downs with peace to have the company running smoothly. And some advice for all of you guys, if you are truly passionate about something, don't let anyone stop you from doing it, because you will never know how good you are unless you try. And if it does go south, it doesn't mean you have to quit immediately. Sometimes they're just tests to see how much you really love doing what you do. And Zarina said this as well, but it helps when you're a small business to be confident. In the beginning, when you're starting off, you're the face of your brand, you're the face of the company and your product, so do not be shy about it. You have to be confident in your work so others see it as well. Don't juggle too many things at once. I didn't start my second company until I was confident with peace first, and Muntaha can back me up on this, but as a small business owner, you wear a lot of hats, from designing, accounting, inventory, being your social media manager. The list goes on and on. Putting a lot on yourself is gonna hurt you, so you should be taking breaks, relaxing when you can, and relaxing as much as you work hard. And many people, strangers and friends, will doubt you and put you down saying you cannot do this and you're just wasting your time, or what are people going to say if this and that happen? But they do not know you. Only you know you. You know your strength, your weaknesses, and you can only know how far you're going to go. And once you do grow and get big, you're going to be introduced to newer crowds and different crowds. You should never forget where you started from and where you came from. You should never have to act different just for people to like you, and you should never become greedy with the stuff you have, because as quick as they arrive, they can also be gone as that quick. And that is my portion of this talk.
Mashallah, no, that was really like all of you guys are just mentioning so many gems. I wish I was like taking notes, but like, really what stuck out to me, like we were talking about being like girl bosses and things like that, but it's also really important for us to always remember where we begin from, right? Having that humbleness. I'm really like glad you mentioned that. And Fatima, again, a lot of you already know Fatima, mashallah, and then she really, so she mentioned the pandemic. She really, a lot of our social media marketing to like get us, there was a lot that we had to do as a masjid to really, have an online presence and things like that. And Fatima really helped us over with that as a masjid as a whole over the summer. And then especially with the youth group, she came in and, alhamdulillah, we're really glad to have you as well. So last but not least, we have Hadia, who is our event coordinator for the youth group. She's a sophomore at Jasper High School, president of the environmental club at Jasper. She's a lead on Jasper Gazette, volunteer for DFW Refugee Outreach on she is on Plano West Cross Country team, and she's in the future, she's interested in maybe investigative journalism or astrophysics. Wow, mashallah, I'm just learning so much about you guys like as I'm doing these intros as well. So all right, Hadia, floor is yours. Is she okay, there we go.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Or was I frozen? Okay. Hi, my name is Hadia. As Sister Salvy said, I am, so I'm first going to talk about sports, and then I'm going to talk about extracurriculars. So first for sports, like Sister Salvy said, I'm on Plano West cross country team. And so a lot of you might know, or like if you've ever seen cross country or track, they don't wear that many clothes. Like the clothing atmosphere is like slim to none. So it's weird when you're like a hijabi and you're like the only one, like let alone wearing hijab, you're the only one wearing pants and a shirt, okay? So it's kind of weird, like especially for the first couple weeks, because like I was the only hijabi on the cross country team. And in the sports teams in general, like I haven't to this day seen any other hijabis there. So it's kind of weird for the first couple weeks, but then afterwards, like you slowly start making friends, and like people acknowledge that this is what you wear, and like you're not gonna like change what you wear just because you see everyone else doing that. So they start to like acknowledge that, and that's just who you are. Another thing that a lot of girls in sports think, like especially hijabis, is that like what you wear might like affect how you play or something. Like especially with cross country and track, they wear less clothes and like slimmer clothes because like it helps with wind and stuff. But honestly, that's like when you're at like the really like elite level, so it counts like parsecs and stuff like that. Like really it matters about your hard work and your effort that you put into the sport itself. Like if you don't put in hard work and effort, but you wear, say, like mini shorts and like a tank top, you're not going to go anywhere. So really at the end of the day, like even our coach tells that too, like it really matters about your hard work and the effort you put into the sport, like not anything else. As everyone's been like talking about like confidence too, that puts a lot into the sport that you play, because like when you feel, especially with races. So in the beginning, I used to not feel confident at all at the races. And I would do like, okay, but it wasn't like that great. But then once you feel confident, like you know that you can run as fast as everyone else, you've been training for like weeks and stuff, and you like have that confidence, then you can do a lot more. So like what the others were saying about like business and extracurriculars, really confidence comes into playing like every part. For other sports, I also do martial arts. So I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it's kind of weird because so Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is really like hands-on. So I can't spar with the guys in our class, and there's only like 3 or 4 other girls every time I go. So I can't spar with the guys. It's like kind of like awkward and stuff. But after a few weeks, and like everything, like it gets to be regular, and people acknowledge these because you're in this situation. So that's my spiel on sports. And I really hope that other hijabis join sports teams and go into sports, because right now I'm at Plano West and there's no other hijabis there. So it'd be really nice if like other hijabis or even Muslim girls in general could like go more forward in sports. I know that's kind of hard with the clothing that you wear. You'll get like sweaty and stuff, but it's really beneficial at the end. You'll also be really fit too. Okay, so then for extracurriculars, I am the president of the environmental club, as Sister Salvy said. And just like being a business owner, you have to wear a lot of hats, and you also have to do, like, you have to make sure everything works out at the end. When you're like just an officer of a club, like underneath the president, then you're able to like rely on the president to make sure that everything happens smoothly. But as an officer, you have your certain tasks that you do. But as a president, you have to make sure that everything gets done in the end, and there can't be any delays. You're like the face of the club, and you have to make sure that everything happens as it's supposed to happen, because you'll be the one responsible in the end, not the people underneath you. So it's a lot of responsibility, and it's like a leadership position too. But being in that position allows other people to, in a way, look up to you and like look at you for who you are. And there's a lot of misconceptions about hijabis, especially in high school and stuff. Like a lot of them are not involved inside like clubs and extracurriculars. So if you're not involved, then how are people going to change what they see about you? It's not just going to magically happen if you're not going to do anything. So it's important for you to be out there and to be talking. And it's not just talking. You don't even have to talk. It's just your actions themselves. So on Environmental Club, some examples of projects we do are like right now we're having a really big clothing drive that we're doing, and basically people have to drop off clothes and we'll be giving them to the homeless. Another example is a project where we did multiple cleanups around our community to emphasize how much recycling and garbage was just being thrown into lakes and rivers. So just doing these actions makes people see like, oh, you actually care about the community and you're actually like giving back to the community. So it makes people see like, oh, you're actually out there. Like there's hijabi girls who are changing the community. And when you're the one changing the community, people look up to you and they're able to see you as someone that they aspire to be. And if you're a hijabi, then it changes the attitude towards hijabis, because you're like, well, I don't know exactly how to explain this, but when you're the only hijabi, I know the other people here have also like accomplished so many things like with hijab. So they know like when you're the only one with hijab, you have like a more of responsibility because you're the only one representing hijabis. Whereas if you're like not wearing hijab and like you're not average, but like there's a lot of people around you who are the same. So it's not as much responsibility of what you do. And then also for our newspaper at Jasper, we have for the newspaper, especially when you're wearing a hijab, it's kind of funny because people want to please you so that you'll pick their works and their applications. So it's interesting to see that. And when they see that you're a hijabi and you're the one who's going to be picking through their applications, they start thinking more highly of you. And they're like, oh my goodness, I need to please the board or whatever so that my work can be accepted. So it allows you to be more involved and also paint a better picture of hijabis in high school. So to finish off, basically, you're not going to change the perception of people, what they think about hijabi girls, unless you actually get involved. So just go out into your high school, and especially freshman year, I applied to like every single club, they have these applications with who are the officers next year. So I just applied to all of them. So whatever opportunity is just coming right, it doesn't matter. Like if you get rejected, you'll be in the same position you were in before you applied. And if you get accepted, then you'll be in a higher position. So it's a win-win situation. So I think that's basically what I have to say. Just get involved. There's like no harm in doing that. Unless, and you have to keep your modesty too. Like you have your beliefs, you're not going to bend them with what other people think about you.
Thank you, Hadi. That's really, like, honestly, very impressive resume you have building there. Yeah, and like, you know, what you guys were, whether hijab or not, again, I think, you know, with Muslim girls especially, you know, again, I think it's really like a personal journey with modesty, right? So you could still, like, you know, there's a lot of, when you do, like for me personally, even, it was a really, like, it was kind of a journey for me where it was a struggle where like I didn't want to wear hijab in the beginning because I felt like all this pressure, like, because when you wear hijab, you become like a walking, talking symbol of Islam. But again, there's other, you know, you could still be modest even if you're not wearing hijab and, you know, still have your beliefs and whatnot. So that's a whole nother discussion I think we'll have just strictly on hijab and who doesn't wear hijab and whatnot. But honestly, I always say this to you guys, and you guys are probably tired of me saying that. I always get so inspired by the things you guys say, mashallah. Like I said this another time too, that, you know, the biggest untapped resource we have in our world today are young girls, and like, you know, like youth girls that, like, you know, we know we're like those perfectionists. We honestly just getting into everything. So, and I'm not being nothing against the boys, but I just really feel like I work with these girls on a daily basis, and I just really, they put their like heart and like sweat and just everything into everything they do. There's just so much ihsan in it, and purity of intentions, and just the way they do things always inspired. So with that being said, I know we've gone a little over time. We'll still join the Zoom call right after this, but before we end, I wanted to first of all just thank all of you guys for being here, and then Muntaha, if you have any announcements for us for the youth group.
Okay, so the announcements that I have is that next week we have Quran Circles in person and virtual. So there is a new link tree on the IAU's Instagram that I'm very proud of. So all of the links are in one place. You can sign up to come in person or online. The vibes will be the same. The week after, we're having a social discussion kind of event with Mufti Noman. Mufti Noman. I forget that he has a name. We're having we're having an event with Mufti and Zishan Parupia. He's kind of like
an aspiring
speaker.
Yes.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. So he'll be there too. It's going to be like a discussion of like deen versus culture. And then on the registration form, you can like put topics that you want to talk about. So far, they have all been pretty similar. So if you have anything unique and you want to add it to that list, that would be great. But yeah, that'll be at a halal pizza place in Plano. So all the information is on those registration links.
Be there or be square.
All right. I think some people may forget that Mufti has a name, and so, but thanks for clarifying all of that and sharing all that information. So if you guys will see on the screen, you'll see the IAA Youth Instagram, and also you can text IA at IAA Youth to 81010 to get our reminders as well. And then please continue sending us your questions and topic suggestions at telonym.me/IAA Youth Muslim Girl. That's where we get inspired with all the all the topic discussions we have. And again, really on each one of you girls, like I just learned so much about you guys, and just like it's just, you encouraged me, and I'm sure you've encouraged a lot of young girls and just girls your age. Mashallah, you're doing so much, and the future I'm hopeful for the future with you girls in lead. All right, any other final comments before we sign off? No? All right. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. We will see you on Zoom. Take care.